welcome to the 4 to 5 Nerds podcast. It's me again, your host, Josh, and I'm here with Timothy, Morning, and Michelle. We're coming to you from the Solano Community College TV studio. We are going to be talking today about communication. Going to go through 3 segments talking about communication. What is communication? Why is communication important? And what makes an effective communicator? Today we're going to start with Timothy.
Alright, so I guess just to start with a basic definition of what communication is for those who don't know, it's just like the process of sharing information, ideas, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, basically sharing anything to anyone else, even yourself, honestly.
Right.
It's a way of conveying anything, like you said, with like even to yourself. If you get like an injury, it just sends signals up to your brain or whatever.
Yeah, it could be like more complicated things that we might think about when we think about communication, of like, oh, trying to share your feelings, or some people might think of therapy, but it could even be something as simple as like seeing a guy slip on a wet floor and then being like, I shouldn't step on that wet floor. It could be not between 2 people, it can be between animals or humans and animals, like training your dog, or like if 2 dogs get in a fight. Like, communication is very broad, and it encompasses a lot of things.
It doesn't have to just be passive either. Like, you on some level are making a decision, maybe like a trained or even evolutionary decision when you fall, to yell out, right? Like, we're programmed to do that in order to communicate that something's going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're social creatures by nature. Through evolution, like throughout history, as like cavemen, for example, we use communication. Even when we couldn't talk, it was always there. Whether it's like, if a caveman eats a poisonous berry, for example, everyone else would subconsciously see that happen. You just die from that berry, like, maybe I shouldn't eat that berry.
And it's important that they're there to witness it.
And then they can tell other people.
Mhm.
To like,
Who were
not,
there.
hey, this berry, it killed this other person.
Yeah,
We should stay away from that.
And if we didn't do that, we'd just be stuck as cavemen, dying to berries.
If we were all had like an individualistic mindset, and it's like, it's only me and screw everyone else, then like a lot of people would be dying because you didn't share the information that guy died from.
There's a reason we don't. It's because those people do die, right? And
Yeah.
then we kind of evolutionary become better at communication. Like, apes will communicate with each other, right? But they lack our like higher level of communication, like speaking, writing. Oral tradition is a huge technology that we have. So maybe you saw the guy eat the berry and you told everyone in the village, but what about the next generation, right? We have like a way of making information interesting and communicable through the generations, and that's something that like apes don't, and they also don't like share with each other, right? Like, so many of the things that make society function are specific to our ability to communicate on that higher level.
I mean, building off it doesn't even have to just be verbal communication. Like, multiple stories have been passed down through just like writing on walls, drawings, which is how we figure out what happened in the past.
And it also has to do a lot with body language, and that's it really. Those like body language and just like, your actions like conveys like who you are as a person, or what you're trying to tell the other person or whatever.
You think about like those famous cave paintings, and you think it's like, oh, they're painting a big hunt to celebrate. It's not just that. It's also like telling a human how to hunt. Big party of people. What do they have? They have weapons, right? We're surrounding the thing. This is how we hunt.
Drawing the bull accurately, I really like that bull painting. It's really good. But they would draw the bull accurately. They would draw how the horns are. And I always really liked that perspective change thing with the horns, even if it doesn't really match up. But they really make a point to point out the horns. So they're like, this is what a bull looks like. You gotta watch out. This is what you should do with the bull and all that stuff.
Yeah, it allows us to actually like progress and build on what came before, and keep that as a foundation, so that we can progress kind of as a society, or as like species, instead of just having to start over all of the time. It's more than just like being able to look back and be like, oh, cool, that's what they did. And that information kind of just being like, oh, well, that was helpful for them then. I mean, it took us building on that for a really long time to get to where we are, and it was necessary every single step of the way.
I could easily go my whole life thinking that shadows are like evil, and if I step on them, I'll die, right? And I could live my whole life like that, and you could go your whole life the exact opposite way with your umbrella, making sure you don't step into the light. And until we come together, we live in separate realities. Until we communicate that I've been doing this and it's been fine, and you've been doing this and it's been fine. It's not just that we like become better arbitrarily. We are like fundamentally living in a different reality from each other until we come together to decide what like the baseline reality is, and then we can make decisions based on that baseline reality.
Yeah, like common ground.
Yeah, common ground. So the Latin origin of the word communication actually means common, right? It's about coming like to union. Like communication is union, you know? How do we feel about moving on to why communication is important?
I think that sounds good.
Sounds good.
We're talking a little bit about like the abilities that higher level communication give us, and I think it's important to note that it's not just what we can get, it's also what we can lose. Like here's the baseline, you know, you can get like better things with good communication. Bad communication can take you below the baseline.
So jumping right off that. So in the Cell Saga, Goku and Gohan so they spend like a whole year together in a time chamber that like speeds up time basically. It's this whole thing. So they had to like they communicated a little bit. They like talked. They showed they love each other. They trained with each other to help prepare to save the world. But there was just this distinct small lack of communication between Gohan and Goku. Just because Gohan was so happy to spend more time with his dad, and Goku was just happy to be there with his son. Yeah. And due to this small, tiny communication error, Goku basically threw his son into a planet-destroying bug, basically, without fully prepping him mentally, because Gohan is not like him. Goku had this like gut feeling that Gohan would be just like him. He loves fighting. He wants to fight. He'll do whatever to save the world. Well, Gohan will do what he can to save the world. He is not like Goku. He does not enjoy fighting at all. It's like one of his least favorite things to do.
He's a big bug nerd.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So, like, basically when Goku gave Cell that senzu bean to fully restore Cells to have a fair fight with Gohan, he basically just kind of screwed over Gohan for a while. And, like, it took Piccolo to communicating, like, hey, your son isn't like you. He looks up to you, but he isn't you. He doesn't like fighting. Goku realized his mistake, but it was too late at this point, as Cell was already too powerful for anyone but Gohan. And then it led up to like basically Gohan powering up through anger, but this anger blinded him and let Cell basically prepare a suicide bomb attack. So Goku had to sacrifice himself to save Gohan and the world, and this all happened just because of one tiny small communication error.
So, what you're saying is, I guess, communication can in fact beat Goku.
Yes, through chain scaling, communication canonically killed Goku.
And it's kind of interesting because, you know, Goku's way of communication is basically fighting. That's like his whole ordeal. Like, he grew up learning how to fight. He came from a planet of conquerors, but, you know, that's not
too important to him because
you know, yeah, amnesia, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's like his whole thing. That's his way of communicating. That's how he has fun. But he has to realize that that's not other people's way of having fun. And it took Piccolo breaking that in to be like, oh, I messed up right here.
Yeah.
A lot.
I gotta bail my son out before he dies.
Yeah.
It's important to recognize that people weaponize negative communication all the time in the real world, like on a national, multinational level throughout history. You know, if people can disconnect the communication between two people, between a whole community, it seriously disrupts that community, and we have to be aware of what is trying to break down our communication so that we can overcome it, because it's not just a feelings thing. I think part of the whole modern interpretation of communication that we have now, where it's like about feelings and it's about like empathy, true, right? But very purposefully skewed to make it seem lesser than. Communication is a survival tactic. Don't let people dismantle your communication infrastructure. Don't let them sell it to you, right?
Yeah.
If you're doing all your communication through a digital platform that someone else owns, they can shut it down on you at any point.
It's also not even just taking it away, but even things like deceit, like misinformation and lying, and that can really mess people up, and that can be a huge problem. And it's not even like the absence of communication, it's just like
Fake communication.
it's malicious communication.
And also, like, the very famous game Telephone, where you like to whisper something to another person.
All the time.
If you have like multiple people between you and another person, if you're not communicating to that person you want to communicate directly, your words can get all kinds of fumbled and make what you said sound so malicious rather than what you actually said.
Someone in between could be doing that on purpose.
Exactly.
Or they just misheard you.
Yeah, right. Or the other. Yeah, exactly. So
It's communication is also like very important in order to convey, like, in the medical sense, like any pain you have or like any symptoms you're feeling, like a doctor needs to know what's wrong with you in order to diagnose you with anything, really.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs nowadays, basically, well, not even a lot of jobs. Basically every job requires communication in some semblance. Whether it's like doctors, nurses who have to like talk to
Game
their
operators.
patients.
Yeah.
I was a game operator. If you didn't explain the rules of the game clearly, there's a good chance you're going to get threatened by the customer. They take it seriously.
That's funny.
man.
It's also it's important for just like it can be really important for your job too, for getting like promotions or raises, stuff like that. It's also important like day-to-day life, just basic maintaining of relationships, like your family and friends. It can also be really important for like personal health, of like working through your own issues, healing what's going on with you internally, like either through therapy or even just like talking to people and feeling heard can go a long way.
We are social creatures.
Yeah.
I had a job once where there was like a very strict hierarchy, and you were supposed to go to a supervisor and tell them when you find anything wrong. But then that supervisor wouldn't actually do anything about it. And that supervisor was really big on not leaving notes. Because when you leave a note, whoever it may concern will come upon it and have that communication given to them. By making sure the communications went through him, even though it broke down communication between us, it kept him important. You know? And that's kind of where I'm coming from before with like, make sure your communications aren't being controlled and used against you, because there's a lot of power in communication and people don't always remain aware of that.
And when it comes to what Morning was talking about, like people like talking to those around you, it also like communication plays a big part in self-identity. Your parents, communicates the way they're able to communicate to you as a baby is the name they continuously say to you when you're a baby, and then you make the connection. Oh, that's what they're calling me. But behavior is learned from parents and like any other friends, and like any like bad behavior can be corrected by your parents as well as teachers and stuff. And it just, communication is what helps you become a person. And yeah, it like introduces you to gender roles and other kinds of roles, all that stuff.
Like recognize what you identify with and what you don't really like, just from like the culture around you.
Yeah.
And those like gender roles, like behavioral learning, these things are so widespread and so impactful throughout our society. We don't often think about how like fundamental to our reality communication is. Like you really can't escape from it. There's not really a place on earth anymore where you won't be affected by the communications of others. Two people could have a poor communication from across the world, communicate to hit the button, and we're all just gone.
Even if like someone were to ask you something, or like, you know, they're giving you a lecture, like say your parent, they're giving you a lecture and they're like, are you gonna respond? And you just don't say anything. That is like a form of communication, even if you're not actually saying anything to them.
And, like, one of the worst things you can do to another human is cut them off from all communication, whether like locking up in a isolation room,
Right.
like in a room
prison.
that like just like blocks out all sound, nothing, just literally just whiteness.
You'll lose your sense of self. Like, it really degrades the brain, man.
Yeah.
Like, communication, all these systems that you can think of that are communication based, that isn't really communication as much as it is a system built on communication. So I think that's kind of the heart of why it's so important, is because so many, you can't escape it. The closest you can come to escaping communication is to become like a victim to it. Other people get to communicate about what happens to you because you're not involved in the communication process. Who feels like that's a good point to move on to how to communicate effectively?
Okay, well,
Anybody got more to say on why? Let's move on to how to communicate effectively on a more effective level, right?
Yeah, well, I would start off by saying I think nonverbal communication is extremely important and not really thought about that much. It is like the vast majority of communication in general, because it can even include things in your speech like accents. Accents or dialects count. Onomatopoeia counts, like making like exclamations, which aren't necessarily speech, like screaming. Like nonverbal communication, body language, the way you dress, your hygiene, basically everything about you and the way you look and the way you move is communication, and that can give a very strong impression without you ever even uttering a word.
That's how, you know, that was actually kind of the whole point. I wouldn't say the whole point, but it was a big part of The Little Mermaid. Because Ursula, Ariel, she was trying to figure out, well, how am I gonna like say anything to Prince Eric? And she was like, you've got your face, you've got your hair, you got everything, and don't forget the importance of body language. Body language plays a big part in communication. Watch The Little Mermaid.
Resident Little Mermaid buff over here.
Yeah.
flex some muscle, flex some Little Mermaid muscle.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Little Mermaid buff, dude. I don't know what they do to those swimming pools. I suspect creatine.
Lots
Yeah.
of creatine.
Like, you could try to set an effective overall rule for interpersonal communication. Dress nice. Use like a strong stance, you know? Speak clearly and loudly. But now you're meeting your date at Chili's for your first date. You're in a full piece suit. You're stanced up on her. Like, hello, ma'am. You know, like it's kind of more about awareness.
Yeah.
So to jump off that point, in the
But let me guess where we're going.
Wait, what do you want? What do you want to guess?
Goku?
Yes.
Goku.
Yes. Well, actually, more Vegeta. Okay,
I
so
love Vegeta.
hey, so in Dragon Ball Z, the Majin Buu saga, the final saga, so there's this enemy that Goku and Vegeta both could not beat together, even working together. They just did not have enough power. So you know what they did? They planned to use a spirit bomb, which requires collecting energy from like everyone. So to reach everyone on Earth, Vegeta's like the one who has to communicate. So he just screams at everyone, telling them, "Lend us your energy." He goes like, "Give us your energy now! God damn it, we're gonna die!" He just yells at them, calls them useless to do something for once, and just literally no one listens to him. Like, fuck that guy. He's a yelling at. I don't know him. And then, but you know what? Who does end up saving the
Goku.
Mr. Hercule.
Mr.
Yes.
Hercule.
So
Bro.
Mr. Hercule, he adjusted to his audience. One of the most important aspects of communication is adjusting to your audience. So he knew these people knew him, and he spoke in a more softer tone, I guess. Like, "Hey guys, please, it's me. I'm a reliable source. Everyone knows him. You can trust me. We need this to save the world." He spoke just like gently, just more gentle about it. And then everyone's like, "Yeah, okay. You know, I kind of mess with that. I'll help him out." So everyone let his energy to the spirit bomb, and that is ultimately what helped fuel it. But then there's even more to it. Due to the power of Shenron, a wish-granting dragon, it refueled Goku, letting him push the spirit bomb just a little bit more he needed to kill Kid Buu. So it was all thanks to communication. where they could boo and save the day in the end.
It's kind of beautiful.
Yeah.
I think adjusting to your audience can go even further because, like you said, it's one thing to put out sort of a vague standard, but that's also just for our specific culture too.
Very true.
Like there are so many different cultures across Earth. There are so many different ways of living and ways of communicating and things that are acceptable in one area and things that aren't acceptable. And I think the most important thing is to be aware and educated about your specific situation, the people that you're around, and how to navigate that environment, and to just give other people grace, give yourself grace, and just really work on trying to understand where the people around you are coming from so that you can meet them where they're at.
So, like, the basis of communicating effectively is to know who you're talking to, like, what they're about, what they like, what they dislike,
And have a good grasp on that that common ground.
common ground.
Hey.
You know, kind of see how far people are off from it and work with them to come back in line. That doesn't mean like, hey, you here, right? Because you might not have as good of a grasp of the common ground as you think you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? I have coworkers who get really frustrated when they have Spanish-speaking patients, which I get it because this job is all about communication. How am I supposed to do my job if I can't communicate with you? But if you have a good grasp of that common ground, you can understand that where you're standing was pretty recently Mexico. So, like, you can work together with people to find that common ground instead. And like brainstorm solutions. So like now we have like a language line we can call, and we have translators we can get a hold of.
Yeah, that's why we have translators.
Right.
They're the connection.
Yeah, but if you get too caught up just being frustrated,
Yeah. Then that common ground is
You're
broken,
flying away
it's
from it.
uneven. Yeah.
Another important part of communication is being just confident about what you're speaking. It's like by showing off confidence, you build this idea that you know what you're talking about, and you're not just making random bullshit up.
confidence is.
Yeah, confidence plays a key part.
Yeah.
If you sound like you're not confident, it sounds like you're making it up. But you could say it the biggest lie known to man. But as long as you have the confidence,
There
and
will at least be one person who probably will believe you.
yeah, there will be at least one person. I'm the most gullible person known to man, so
Probably don't broadcast that.
Everybody.
They're gonna find you. You're gonna get a bunch of phishing scams after this.
Oh man.
Shucks.
Confidence is like the dark art of communication, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like, theoretically, if you get called on being wrong when you're super confident, you lose credibility. And now nobody's going to believe you, and that's kind of how confidence is supposed to function.
Yeah.
It doesn't always function that way.
And then
It's scary, but it doesn't always function that way.
especially with the rise of like online media, like the sudden lack of like body language, tone, voice dialect, etc. It's such a big issue because you just can't tell if they're being truthful. You can't like read their body language, see if like any signs are lying.
You don't even know if they're a real person.
Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You can't tell if they're joking, they're being rude,
Yeah, lots
etc.
of slang is like different in different parts of even like in America. Like some places call it pop, we call it soda.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Building off the digital technology thing, that's also part of why it's not that effective at addressing the loneliness crisis, is because there's such a lack of communication that you don't even really, your brain doesn't really recognize that you're communicating with another person. Like you can logically understand that, but the like chemical reactions in your brain are different than when you're like actually looking at and speaking to a person.
I've got a couple of online friends, and like I like talking to them. It's nice, and we call sometimes. But then I would see like videos or pictures of them, and it's just really bizarre to me because like, oh my god, these are people that are moving. You know? Like, oh wow, my friends, they're real.
They're not just a little voice in the phone.
I'm not schizo.
But yeah, tone and body language play a big part in communicating effectively.
Yeah, communication's collaborative, and it's like we were talking about, like less of a system and more of kind of a universal constant. So nothing wrong with modifying it and trying to make something new, but it's just gonna take time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We can't just prescribe ourselves a daily dose of TikTok and call it your like daily dose of humanity. You know, we're gonna take some time
You
to
gotta
get used
be
to this
out
thing.
there.
You actually need to spend a decent amount of time interacting with people. And I think trying to get a diversity of interactions is very important.
Mhm.
Like, a lot of people complain about small talk, but you should be having the small talk.
Mhm.
That is a important part of learning how to start a conversation with people. That's kind of the point of it. That's why it's really popular in cultures to do that. It helps to teach people how to be social.
It also, like, the lack of communication really leads to people getting very bigoted very fast.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
I'm kind of a paranoid guy, so like I don't know if you could tell, but I have some thoughts about all this stuff. Like for instance, I think the war against small talk is very generated online, where it's fed by antisocial behavior.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, like why wouldn't I, as an antisocial platform, promote antisocial ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I think we talked about this one time a while ago, but like when people don't go out or like seek out other people that they can talk to, like in Vallejo, like people that live in Vallejo or they've only ever known Vallejo or they've been in places better than Vallejo, they'll say Vallejo's not great, it's the ghetto, it's like all these people.
But you never got out of your car.
You just never get out of your car.
They never got out of their car to go see Vallejo.
Exactly.
Right?
And like as you said, you were from Maine, so when you came back, when you went to Vallejo from Maine, it was like a lot better. But like,
Most of that's because of isolation.
yeah,
you know?
it's isolation. When people are like fed information and they're like, don't go talk to those people over there, don't go out of your way, you're like, you know, you get a little scared to come out of your shell and like talk to these people.
Yeah, there's a reason why rural communities are sort of stereotyped as being more bigoted in general, no matter where they are on the globe. And it's because of that isolation. They're around the same people all of the time. And when you're in that kind of environment, it's very easy to become scared of other people and more bigoted and more xenophobic. Whereas if you're someone that lives in a more populated area and you're seeing people that look different or are different from you very often, it makes that you start to just see them as people. You're just like, oh yeah, that's just a person.
It's also
They
'cause
could be cool, they could suck. Who knows? It's just a guy.
in the last podcast, you talked about, you know, infrastructure and stuff.
Yeah.
Infrastructure, the whole like thing with, you know, transportation, but like private transportation with your own cars and stuff that leads you to not talk with other people, not feel like you're a part of something. I remember when I started, my mom wouldn't let me take the bus until, you know, I got older or whatever. But when I started taking the bus, like during college, I felt like, oh, I feel free. I feel like a grown person. But when you're in just like in the car, you don't feel much of anything.
And it's self-perpetuating, you know? You spend more time in the car, you feel more afraid of the bus, you're not going to take the bus, I never took the bus, I only take my car, I'm really going to get on an airplane? I don't know, there's a lot of people in there, go to another
Yeah.
country, ooh,
Then
that's...
all of a sudden, the cashier you start feeling a little nervous making small talk with
Ooh,
them.
not
You're
making
like,
eye
who even
contact.
is this person? I'm going to
So-
go to self-checkout, not
Right.
even talk to you.
Yeah.
So the way to communicate effectively is to also, you know, take public transportation, I suppose.
Wait,
Quit
so
taking your car places.
to have a skill, you have to practice it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa!
What?
That's probably the one super universal rule, I would say, is that you have to engage with it. Because the minutiae will differ depending on the people you're around, but it's never going to change that you need to actually engage with people in order to learn how to communicate.
It's gonna feel really awkward, but like everything does at the end of the day.
Nobody remembers.
Yeah.
Nobody cares at the end of the day.
Most
You
people
can-
have done worse.
Yeah.
A good way to really enforce that too is to try and think about the other people and be like, what are they worried about? And if you can't think
Not
of
me.
it, you'll never be able to think about anything. And then you'll be like, oh, they can't think of anything for me then either. I'm not even in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this just in, 4 to 5 Nerds podcast. Practice
Communi-
skills you want.
And most importantly, we figure out the answer. Communication doesn't need solo Goku.
Communication
It's Goku.
can beat Goku.
It
Remember
Think
that.
about that.
Take that home with you.
Take this class.
Take this class so you too
Can beat Goku.
Been the 4 to 5 Nerds podcast. Once again, I've been Josh, your host, here with Timothy, Morning, and Michelle. We talked about what communication is, why it's important, and some strategies to be better at communication. Really appreciate your time. You guys have a great night. Thank you.